So, Gizmo, we want to talk about the Black Mage and how we feel about it. Basically, I like everything they changed from Shadowbringers going forward into Endwalker, but you have to accept the fact that it's getting much more complicated and difficult to play now. And the biggest point and the biggest problem that could rise up from this aspect is that Black Mage was always difficult because of how well you have to know the fight and how well you have to produce your performance and stage your performance in preparation and in advance. Now on top of this aspect comes the complexity level and the boost to the complexity level because of all the new mechanics like paradox and amplifier being a thing. These are nice additions, also granting you way more movement now, but you have to track them, and that's the biggest thing. What I like very much though is that durations of Sharpcast and the procs of Thunder and all these procs are increased significantly. Like the proc is 30 seconds now. It's even more, I think. Yeah, it's even more. The procs are just basically forever. They feel like being up forever, and that's amazing. So you have much more confidence and can play way more comfortably around with your setup and adjusting rotations according to what's happening on the fight right now. If you have a lot of movement, for example, and still have these procs running and still have Sharpcast. You have 2 charges now, which is amazing. And yeah, of course, I also like that Foul now is an instant cast, and they only differ in just single target and AoE damage, for example. When it comes to the AoE rotation, I'm a bit split here, because while it's more enjoyable than before, it's also, like I said, the same thing applies here. It's also more complicated. But on the other hand, it feels like you're not getting properly rewarded compared to what Red Mage or Summoner are offering. That's my biggest complaint, actually. You should get better rewarded compared to the other jobs because of lacking flexibility, lacking movement, and having to prepare so much stuff while running for the pool, actually. Like, you have to proc the Thunder with Sharpcast, then you have to swap over to Astral Fire and use the High Fire multiple times to get rid of your Umbral Hearts, for example, then still use the last Umbral Heart for Flare, then get rid of your MP with the last Flare, and optimally have triple cast or swift cast ready to make Flare instant, because this cast time is insane, like 4 seconds. That's so long. Cast this. Try out and cast this. It's horrible. So this feels insanely clunky, and I would say Black Mage is like a very rare wine, or sort of wine. It's not for everybody. It's not like the wine that everybody enjoys. It's a wine for special connoisseurs of good wine, and that's basically the same applies for the Black Mage. If you like this kind of rotational and very basic combat system that evolves around having an Astral Fire side of things, where you burst all the stuff, where big explosions happen, and then on the other hand have this ice side, Umbral Ice side of things, where you're regenerating, you're calming down the rotation, which is absolutely improved in Endwalker because of how Paradox is working, and you have this little damage boost in that phase as well, so it doesn't feel like this is your worst phase, you're losing so much damage here. You're not, because you use Paradox here, you use Xenoglossy procs if you're not using them for movement. So it's definitely a good thing. It's a good feel that it's kind of balanced, and it's not always like this is the big explosion phase and ice is kind of falling behind it. They changed that. It doesn't feel like that anymore. The biggest problem I personally have with the Black Mage is low-level content. On low-level content, Black Mage still feels like trash. It's not even close. I know, Summoner feels like this as well on low-level content, and that's basically the ambition and the reason why I made this video, released a video talking about how you can make low-level content more attractive and more interesting. Here, I think it could be the worst job on low-level content at the moment. it makes sense, it works, but before reaching level 60, it doesn't make any sense at all. You're just spamming fire. And afterwards, until you get your foul procs and Xeno, Glossy, and all that stuff making sense. And the biggest thing, this is horrible. This is actually sacrilegious. That you don't have Umbral Soul at low level. That's horrible. Whoever designed that, Umbral Soul needs to be an essential part of the early starting kit of the Black Mage. Really, that's critical. I hate that you only have this at level 76. And most of the leveling process, especially if you're doing duty stuff, you will fall below that level and you don't have Umbral Soul at your disposal, which is insanely horrible. And I also don't like how depending you're on Transpose still on the early levels because of not having this mechanic of Fire 3 and Blizzard 3 running. That's also being introduced too late in my opinion. So they still need to push some more work into the low level experience of the Black Mage in my opinion, because it's just basically spamming fire. Of course people might like this, but compared to what other jobs offer on this level, not all jobs are bad on low level, but I think Black Mage is even worse of how your mana management is going on, your MP management is going on, and you have to switch stuff. You don't have any instant spell at that point that makes movement, enjoyable or anything like that. It's horrible. It's just horrible. The biggest issue with Black Mage is that we don't have enough big hats. Yeah, that's also a thing. On the other hand, I like the job gear. I like this hat a lot. I like it very much, and I think it could be a good variation to combine with other stuff. So from the point of the job gear, also the gloves are cool because your character is having nail color at that point and with that applied. So I like that a lot. That's definitely a new addition to the roster of true endgame. But yeah, overall, I would say Black Mage is a good recommendation if you really want to learn the game, if you really want to get a new level of sensation and new level of skill requirement in this game, because of, having to learn jobs by heart, having to play your job in advance in preparation for any encounter, basically. And still, right now in Endwalker, on top of it, having complexity inside of your rotation, which changed, in my opinion, significantly compared to what we had in Stormblood or what we had in Shadowbringers. So, take that into consideration. Enjoy the job like a good old wine, like a specialist wine. That's not for everybody, but it doesn't mean that if somebody has some issues with it, you can't enjoy it more than any other job out there. So, Paradox is a very, very cool new spell and new addition to your kit, your roster, and Amplifier is also very nice to give this little boost to your movement. On top of that, Paradox also in Umbral Ice is granting you this aspect. So I would love to see more rewards and the AoE rotation being rewarding you more for what you have to perform there compared to the competition like Red Mage and Summoner. But when it comes to single target rotation, I think it's fine balance-wise, because you can perform very, very nicely. You just have to know that you have to be a top Black Mage to also get to the top of the charts. So that's basically what I think about the Black Mage. I hope you agree, or if you disagree, let me know. Like always, I'm open for any feedback and critique and criticism on my opinions here. But that's just basically my opinion.